Welcome to the gridiron!
Welcome to the gridiron!
The gridiron.
The gridiron.
The gridiron.
Cool. What are we starting off with, bruh?
We're going to talk about the gridiron.
Cool.
Well,
Also, welcome back from France.
bon nuit.
We didn't have one last week because separate countries, hard to manage.
Yeah. Blame France for everything. France is cool. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
Nah.
Also, France sucks.
Playoffs.
We're here to talk about the playoffs.
We have our bracket.
Yeah, what's the best way to look at this?
If you go to standings, there should be a way to see the playoff bracket. Yeah.
Playoff bracket.
All right, so maybe let's discuss how this bracket came to be, because I think this was maybe the only big thing that happened last week was the matchup between Travis, Joe, and their fight amongst the rest of the league.
Indubitably.
And then kind of my own throwing of the game to get my optimal seeding.
Totally. I mean, Joe, did he score enough points to get a win last week?
No.
And if he did, would he have made it in regardless on points?
He would have made it if Travis won. Joe had an extra win going into the last week, so Joe wins, he's in no matter what Travis does.
Yeah.
But Joe had a paltry end of the season.
Basically, Joe kicked himself out of the playoffs by sucking last week.
He did.
So Joe sucked himself to death.
Actually, could you go to Joe's full schedule? I think he might have lost his last 3 games.
Oh.
And
he lost 4 out of his last 5.
Joe only put up 60 points against Luke when he scored 81, and that would have sealed him. But then, from then on, 60, 64, 72. That is not a playoff deserving team.
Yeah.
He only scored above 70 once in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah. Pretty disgusting. And I'm happy he's not in the playoffs, because this is not, he doesn't deserve to, based on the past 3 weeks.
To be honest, I would rather have Joe in the playoffs because his team is not as good as Travis's, but
yeah,
he definitely didn't deserve it, and it's kind of clear.
Only if you're a massive wimp like you and don't believe in your team and are afraid of Sam and Tate.
It's not
which
that
is
I
the
don't...
other storyline, because I could have done the same thing. I could have thrown the game and lost and plummeted myself down.
You did lose.
I won last week. I was in the top half. Yeah.
Oh, you were just right there. Yeah, you were the last of the 7.
And I could have easily...
Kayla was.
Well, I could have thrown it.
You could have.
And I could have plummeted and gotten to the other side of the bracket, and I chose not to because...
You would have played Tate either way, because I would have finagled my way into playing Kayla if you decided to throw.
Perhaps. But I could have thrown so hard that you threw up. You know what I mean?
Because I had the Monday Nighters, I could kind of choose my battle there,
Perhaps. Regardless, you're a wimp.
Anyways, I don't think it's about not believing in my own team. I think it's more about, it's such a crapshoot that if you can give yourself better matchups, why would you not?
Sure.
It makes no sense to not give yourself what you think is the best advantage that you can have.
I agree with Sam's point, though, that you should be required to field a full roster. So moving forward, you should have had to have dropped bench players and picked up a tight end.
Why should I be required to do that? I only gamed, and I said this in the chat too, I only gamed after I knew that my performance and what was going to happen that night didn't affect Travis and Joe.
I guess it's because it seems strange to not field a full roster. Just not the effect that it has.
How about when a player is up by a point and they drop their kicker, Same.
It seems that there should have to be a price to pay to throw, is what I'm saying. You shouldn't be able to freely throw a game. And the cost should be,
I fully disagree. But Pops did it last year and no one really cared.
Yeah, because Pops is cool. Pops has integrity.
I've got integrity.
I'm
just jealous that I have the best path and I screwed you because you have to play Tate.
Really, I'm just being combative with everyone now because it's the playoffs. And I don't have any problem with
We're
throwing.
rivals. I mean, I hope you win. I'd like to play you.
Also, you and I have discussed in the finals doing a kicker battle. And so we're announcing it right now. If Gabe and I meet in the finals, which is a possibility right now,
It is.
We are going to only play our kickers.
Yeah.
And we will do a kicker battle.
Literally drop every other player.
Literally drop every other player, and we will put our kickers on the line. And now, because I'm a higher seed than you, if they were to tie, we can both get 8 points per se. Then the playoffs, the way the playoff seeding works, I would win a tie. So now I have the advantage.
If I see that you were gonna win based off seeding tie, I would try and like pick up as many free agent Monday nighters as I could to ride my bench because bench points would be the next tiebreaker before seeding.
Why don't we just play our kickers only, but then have full benches
Of all of our players on the
all
bench?
of the players.
I feel like Sam would try and stick his fingers in there and like play our
Sam
lineup.
sticks his fingers everywhere.
Anyways, it's gonna happen. Sam, you better be okay with it because it's gonna happen
We're doing it.
if we make it to the finals together.
It's fair. Kicker versus kicker. Young Ho versus McPherson.
Yeah. We've already had a finals matchup between us, so let's juice things up now.
Yeah, juice it up and then juice it down.
Okay,
But let's get into the meat of this thing. Let's
go back to the bracket.
Yeah.
So Travis is in. He crushes it to end the season.
Yeah.
Beats Joe twice in a row.
One of the main things I want to highlight here is congrats to Tate
Tate?
on his first year. His team is hot right now.
It's super hot. It's flaming hot.
I am shocked that this is a reality, but Josh Jacobs is the #1 running back in the NFL right now. I just gotta go and look at Jacobs's points the past few weeks. Even right here, they said something about how he's on like a Derrick Henry-like role. Look at his past 5 weeks. 19, 19, 50, 22, 18. And he has...
Okay, even go back to week 4. 34, 30, 37. One dud, and then just solid.
And he's getting carries. So many carries.
He hasn't had less than 20 in like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
6, 7 weeks.
And his yardage since week 11, 109, 229, 144, 99, plus 4 touchdowns. Plus 50 on 74, 6, and 15.
He's going ham. I had no idea this was coming. I watched like the first preseason game, like the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
And he was playing, which usually indicates that he's not going to be like integral because that's more of a backup game.
Yeah, the other thing that is crazy is that Garrett Wilson has been going ham. 31, 10, 30.
This Miles Sanders.
Oh, sorry. Miles Sanders has been going ham. Tate's running backs are going ham.
For where he picked them up, I thought he was going to have 2 bad running backs.
Garrett Wilson has been going ham, 25, 22, 10. And Devonta Smith has been going ham. Freaking, like, not ham, but like ham enough for a flex.
Yeah. Great. And who did he traded for Devonta Smith with Aiden?
He did.
Can you click on him? I forgot that trade. I think it had to do with Russell Wilson.
He did.
Kyle Pitts and Coop.
Yep.
Good trade, Tate.
It might have worked out. Yeah. Regardless, I guess that kind of leads into our chat we're gonna have here about matchups. Sam, congrats to Sam.
Best team. I don't think it's even a debate. Most points by like 100 plus.
Yeah, and
Best record, tied with Annie.
that trade for Diggs, like he already kind of had the best team at that point, and then trading for Diggs like really settled it.
Yeah. Like Pollard's a good back.
Little anecdote here, not to talk about other leagues, but Gabe and I are in 2 other leagues, and in one of the leagues, I've been the 1 seed since like week 1. My team is crushed week after week after week after week. Something like I was like 12-2 in that league or something. First round of the playoffs, my team scores something like 52 points, and I dud out. Our playoffs started last week, so anything can happen. Like, it really bothered me. I had the most points scored by something like 550 in that league.
Yeah.
I was really crushing it in that league. It's a 20-team league, and I lost round 1.
Yeah, and I won round 1 with the highest point score on the week, so I'm in the final 4 of 20.
But let's talk about the first matchup here, me and Tate.
Yeah.
Winner has to go face Sam. My team is on a downward trend. I'm like my team peaked in the beginning, kind of went down, was doing well again. But since that cup injury, my team's just gotten weaker and weaker. Losing Pierce doesn't help. Losing Sutton doesn't help. I have a hole. Like, my running backs are fine, but I have a hole at wide receiver too, and Amari Cooper's not good enough to be a true one.
What's interesting is that all of your running backs are not who you started the season with.
No.
Like Pacheco, I drafted him, I either traded him to you or dropped him and you picked him up. Foreman, sweet waiver wire ad.
Yeah.
And Rashad White, you traded him to me, I traded him back to you or something like that.
Yeah. No, these are all fine running backs. They're good running backs. And Kelsey is great and Dak is fine. My problem is these receivers don't touch hard enough. And I know, Brandon, you're laughing at Brandon Powell here, but like if you look at, well, let's show.
No, he's fine.
Let's show the bench here. Like Sutton is hurt and is not going to play. It shouldn't be played anyways. My other option is Gallup or Burks. And if you look at waivers for the past 4 or 5 weeks, there's been nobody else.
Bone dry.
Bone dry.
Interesting. I think you have 0 starting players that you drafted, besides maybe the Eagles D.
Nope, didn't draft him. Picked him up.
Nice.
I'm actually kind of hoping that Pierce is hurt enough
So you can drop him?
Yeah.
Because he's your last one, isn't he?
I really want to drop Sutton and Pierce and then have a team fully non-drafted. My point is, though, that my team has gotten weaker the past 4 or 5 weeks.
It has. Be it injuries or just Sutton has fallen off a cliff.
Sutton is unplayable, even if he comes back. In fact, I'm dropping him right now.
Nice.
There's no way I'm going to play him if he comes back. And I don't care if anyone picks him up and plays him against me.
Poison.
Pierce was on a really good streak, and now he's, like, not... He's like, you kind of need to play him if he's healthy, but he's not that good.
He put up like 13 yards in 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. And, like, Dak is fine, but he isn't, like, high-scoring Dak like you were hoping.
He's like the quarterback 20 something.
He's been fine, but, like, not enough to go up against Josh Allen. And so, kind of what I'm saying is, my team's been really consistent the past 4 or 5 weeks. They've been hitting, like, 102, 97. They've been right about hitting their projection every single week. So I'm projected at 109. I bet I hit, or not 109.
You projected 107, I think.
107. I bet I hit 107. Like, my team's been hitting exactly the projection every week. I've had bad touchdown regression. Like, Foreman last week got 24 carries against the Hawks, only got 8 points. Hubbard got 3 touchdowns or whatever. Like, it just hasn't been happening for my team. And so I think what I'm going to need to make it through is a poor performance from Tate's team. And unfortunately, based on his matchups, I don't see that happening.
I don't see it happening either, but he has been relying on 3 teams' offense the entire season.
That's what I was going to say too. So he's really reliant on the Bills, Raiders,
and the Eagles.
And the Eagles. And if one of those teams just like duds on offense for any reason, specifically kind of the Raiders, if the Raiders peter out, like that really hurts his team.
Raiders have had bum weeks. And here's another thing that helps you. Buffalo this week expected 9 inches of snow for the game on Sunday.
I know.
So that doesn't help Dawson Knox.
No.
May or may not help Josh Allen because he'll still run the ball as a quarterback, but he's not going to have those crazy passing yards. He's not going to have like a 200 rushing yard game.
It helps. It helps a lot.
It absolutely helps.
So there's a chance, but what I think is I need Tate's team to kind of score less than 100 points. And I probably will need Sam's team to score less than 100 as well. Where I think my team excels is very reliable. Like, I think Dak's going to get 15. All these guys are going to hit their floors. And
yeah, you just got to hope that Jacobs doesn't have another 50-pointer.
My team really isn't boom or bust right now. It's more like, ugh.
The nice thing about your matchup with Tate is, yeah, Buffalo, snow game, not good for offense.
No.
The Raiders are playing New England, who's the number 1 defense in fantasy. And the one thing that they do well is they take away the biggest threats on the other team's offense, and they have like 2nd and 3rd tier guys do all the damage.
Yeah.
So
Oh, sorry. I was just making sure we were recording. For a sec, I was like, oh, did I forget to hit record? No, we're good. Sorry. Back at it.
So yeah, so Adams and Jacobs, probably one of them might be pretty neutralized because that's what the Patriots like to do.
Oh, if the Raiders have success, you assume it's like Derek Carr to Matt Collins or Zay Jones or Foster Moreau.
I wouldn't be surprised if one of Jacobs or Adams does really well, but if both, I would be.
I'd be surprised if Jacobs does well against the Patriots. Belichick is not going to let a team run him to the ground. I could see Adams having an okay, solid game, but like I can see Jacobs getting like 74 yards and Adams getting like 80 and a touchdown. But that's not what they've been putting up, like 80 combined the past few weeks. Yeah. So I think I have a chance, but like this thing says, Tate has an advantage at most positions.
It's a pretty big expected points difference too. 121 to 107. Like projections, yeah, they mean not too much when it's close, but when it's so far apart, like we're looking at 15 right here, it typically tilts in the way of the projected player.
Sure. I mean, you can see the players' average points.
Yeah.
Like, does Josh Allen score an average of 10 more than Dak? Totally. So
Literally,
spot
yeah.
Tate 10 right there. Does Jacobs score 10 more than Pacheco? Well, the past few weeks, Pacheco's kind of been doing really solid. So maybe, I don't know, he's the number one running back. So yeah, 10 points advantage. Miles Sanders to Foreman. This average is based on, like his real average is probably more like 13 or 14, but still advantage.
I think another way that I would like to look at this is who would you pick out of your team to replace one of Tate's players? And I think the only player would be Travis Kelce.
I'd pick Rashad White over Smith, but
I don't think I would. He's in a split backfield.
sure.
You know, Kelce, and that's essentially it. So I'm gonna pick Tate for this game.
Oh, I'm picking Tate too, but also like I kind of see my path to winning as putting up 100 and Tate has an off week.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a 1 in 10 chance for you. I think it's maybe like a 1 in 5.
I'd say more like
20%.
a 3 in a 1/3.
33%. All right.
Yeah,
That's not crazy different.
no. And then real quick, if we look at Tate's team too, if we look at how do we go to his full schedule? Tate is on a hot streak right now, but you can see he's cooling down. And I don't know about trends, but from what I've noticed, trends in fantasy tend to last more like 4 or 5 weeks versus just 2 or 3. And so based on this, 175, 143, 115, he'll be down to like 84 next week.
No.
So I think realistically, I can expect Tate to score like 84 points.
Or he'll do what he did week 11 to week 12, which is scoring about 80 more the following week and hit 195.
He has quite a few weeks where he scores less than 100. 95, 98, 82, 98, 97. 101. Close enough. Any of those weeks, about a 50% chance. I think I got a chance. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But congrats to Tate.
Really
like
good
big
team.
congrats.
Yeah, good job.
Tate, your team is better than mine right now. And you probably have a better chance to beat Sam next week.
Yeah, Tate, you drafted better.
You definitely drafted better. That's some of the things I was saying in my text to Gramps. Like, we were judging the Josh Allen pick in the second round, but look at the top 3 teams. They have the top 3 quarterbacks.
Hurts.
And they spent on them. Like,
Mahomes.
Sam pulled a great pick with Hurts. I think everyone had their eyes on him that round, and positionally he got him first. But like the Mahomes early, the Allen early, even Kayla with Lamar early until he got hurt, he's still quarterback 7 on the year. You now have Herbert, who was an early pick in the 4th round. Early quarterbacks don't seem to hurt people's teams. They seem to wind up in teams, the upper echelon teams, doing quite well.
Is there any like super amazing quarterback in the toilet bowl?
Burrow is number 4. He's on Pops' team.
But Pops doesn't have a bad team. He's got good points for. He's just been like unlucky, I would say.
Well,
but yeah.
I mean, we question a lot of Pops' draft decisions. I don't think Burrow's what's holding him back. I think a lot of his other decisions hold him back. Fields right now is currently the number 5 quarterback. And he almost like propelled Gramps out of nothingness.
Too little, too late. But yeah.
Too late. But the point I was trying to make is notice that trend. The top 3 teams have the top 3 quarterbacks. The top 3 teams also have a monopoly on the top 5 receivers. And so like it makes me question our draft strategy of going running back heavy. Not that you shouldn't.
I agree, but I think the nice thing about having a bunch of running backs is they're a lot more of a like scarce commodity than receivers, that you have a lot more like room to play with in trades. I was able to trade a lot because of my running backs, and so were you.
Sure. Also, if you look at the variability between points scored every week, like I feel like I had some of the most times where I had the most running backs on my team, and my points for wiggled the least. Like sure, it's lower than these teams, but it's less variable, and so maybe you give yourself an easier floor to make the playoffs because you're less boom or bust. And maybe just making the playoffs is the ticket. You gotta get lucky once you're in there. All I'm saying is it makes me think.
But I mean, if Sam drafted, say, Cup over Jefferson, does he still end up with the number 1 seed? I don't know.
With Cup being hurt right now?
Exactly, because
yeah,
Cup was our
if he
number 1.
didn't trade for Diggs, let's say his only receiver left that he had was like Pittman and CD. Oh, I don't think Sam's team looks anywhere near the same.
I'm just saying, although the top teams did draft the quarterbacks and the receivers, they also got lucky with having those guys stay healthy all year, which is another thing I think why they're up there. Like they didn't have any major injuries that they had to work around.
Not to like play victim or whatever, but at the time Cup was hurt, he was the number 1 receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's arguably the biggest loss you can have for your team is losing the best player in the NFL. He was the highest point scorer of any positional player.
You couldn't have a more
impactful
integral injury because there's no one more integral.
Exactly. So he was the most valuable player in fantasy. And it's hard not to see like he'd likely be projected at like 19 to 22 points. Instantly, I'm projected the same as Tate. And like I would say almost level playing field at that point. I would have a lot less. Basically, I'd feel like my team was up there with Annie and Tate. Sam's team is pretty good, but losing Cup sucks.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, Sam doesn't deserve the number 1 seed at all. Like he drafted amazingly. Yeah, I just don't think I'm per se gonna go heavy on the wide receivers next year.
More what I'm saying is it makes me rethink waiting on a quarterback in a 14-team league because positional
scarcity is
it makes
large.
Me think like if you're at the end of round 1, if you could snag Kelsey and Josh Allen, you have just put a massive positional advantage over yourself and 9 out of 10, like 9 out of 14 of the other teams, you know?
Yeah, the quarterback 14 who's going to be on some roster is not going to come close to Josh Allen at the end of the season, like points scored.
And there's basically like with Hurts next year, there's pretty much 3 or 4 quarterbacks that you can look to like, I know we say they have to hit, but like it seems like Mahomes, Allen, probably next year Hurts, and Lamar are worth top 3 round picks, you know?
Oh, easily.
It could even, I basically I'm trying to make the argument ahead, like, it seems to me like Josh Allen is worth a first round pick, basically. Like back end of first round.
I almost don't disagree. Yeah, I agree.
Even though it goes against all of my logic, you just have to, and quarterbacks are so less injured. You know what I mean? When they do get injured, it's a concussion. Like, I don't know. All right. Tate has the advantage in our matchup. Moving on, it's the load versus the boat.
Yes.
And lo and behold, even though we said Kayla was unstoppable, I think you come through. I'm giving you the advantage.
I obviously have a huge bias, but yeah, I agree. Kayla's team has kind of dwindled. No thanks to Lamar being hurt and kind of slumping at the end of the season. That's a huge blow for her because Mac Jones sucks. There's really not a better quarterback, and I sniped the highest projected quarterback off waivers this week just to block that.
Who'd you grab?
Brock Purdy. Who might not even play today.
Oh, it said he is. I just got an ESPN notification. Also, go Hawks.
Yeah.
Need this win.
Kayla's flex play has kind of fallen off. Her top 4 are still really solid, but everything around that has kind of crumbled.
It's interesting. Kayla has the number 2 and the number 5 running backs.
Yeah.
And the number 4 and the number 6 wide receivers. So her team, in my opinion, should be the best team. And this is what's holding it back. Quarterback. Since Lamar went down and stopped doing well, her team is basically like nosedived. That's the difference. That's the 20-point difference a week. Mac Jones is averaging 11, you know?
Yeah.
If you look here, I like this chart with the positional advantages, with the green arrows and stuff. She has some advantages, but you just have more. I really like the Packers D versus the Rams this week. I think the Packers destroy the Rams this week. Like, hardcore destroy. Chargers are in a playoff hunt and need this win versus Tennessee. I could see a classic Herb game. Kamara in a divisional game versus Atlanta is going to do well. Taylor is all Indy has, so it's, you know, Hopkins has been awesome and they're playing this week. Although he doesn't have Kyler, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. He's kind of better without Kyler.
Basically,
and McWilliams is back.
Honestly, this is a pretty good matchup, but I just don't think Mac Jones does much. And I don't think Fant and I don't know. Dallas could score so much on Jacksonville that Jamal gets like 10 kickoff returns and ends up scoring 20 points. But I don't know. I just have a feeling you're going to snake through here.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think overall my team is a bit less like top heavy, but it's a bit more like middle of the bar successful.
Yeah,
and
but
I
like,
don't have like the lows of having to start a Mac Jones or a Noah Fant or like take a shot at a Jamal Agnew in a playoff matchup, you know?
Sure, Eckler and Chubb right now are the 2 and 5 backs, but like last week, Chubb.
Oh yeah, huge point. With freaking Deshaun Watson, Chubb is like a tiny part of the game plan because they're just trying to get Deshaun Watson back into the game.
Totally.
They've run him barely at all. They're not getting any goal line work because Deshaun can't remove an offense. Even if they do, he's now playing like hero ball. He's the offense. It's no longer like Chubb being the offense.
And Chicago has piss poor run defense. If the Eagles can run on the Bears, they're just going to hand it off.
If they get up in this game, it's going to be less of a passing attack.
Yeah.
That's what the Eagles do.
And the Jets are going to put Sauce Gardner on Amon-Ra. Sauce is good. So, like, I don't know. Just, I feel like your team's going to pull it out.
Yeah. I agree. I hope I do.
I hope you do as well, because I really want to do a kicker battle.
Okay. So we're both calling it for myself. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I guess real quick, let's glance back here. Are there any players playing tonight, Thursday night? Seattle, San Francisco, none for us.
Kayla has one and Noah Fant.
Noah Fant. But there's quite a few in this last one. Quite a few, actually. So
this is, even based on projections, this is going to be the juiciest round one matchup.
Oh yeah. I've been saying it all year, but Trav's team at full health is a good team. He has the best running backs. They haven't been scoring like that, but like in my mind, he has the best running backs. His receivers are good. Trav's team is good, and Annie's team is good too. Ramondre being questionable is a huge question mark for her team. She does not have a solid backup running back.
I think this matchup is going to come down to what happens tonight. Because if
it totally
Metcalf
does.
and Tyler Lockett both don't do well, this game's over.
Somehow, shockingly, every week since I've been saying don't play them both, they both keep getting like 60 yards and a touchdown each, which is awesome for the Hawks and for them. But
I would not want this to be the matchup that these Hawks receivers have to pull it out for me, because the Niners have a really good defense. We got smacked by them earlier this year.
Yep.
They're on fire, and I have a feeling like it might be a blowout tonight.
I think that the Hawks know that they need to win this game to make the playoffs, basically. I think it's going to be a close game that the Niners sneak out. Brock, it doesn't matter who plays quarterback for the Niners.
Because why? McCaffrey?
No, because the fundamentals of football, as in a really strong defense and a really strong running game, those let you control the game. And any mistake the Hawks make, like a Geno pick or a fumble, once the Niners get the edge, their team is built to grind it out and not let that edge go. And so, like, I see the Hawks as having a way to win. They like outperform and don't make any mistakes, but the chance that we don't fumble or throw a pick, or like, they're just a better team. And the better defense, there's so much of a better defense, it's such an advantage, you know?
Yeah, I think Travis is going to win this. McCaffrey has got one of the juiciest matchups all year in the Seattle run D.
Absolutely. So does Saquon against Washington. Not that Washington is a bad run defense, but that the Giants are just going to feed the crap out of him.
Yeah, Travis has good matchups. I want to more talk about Annie's matchups because they're terrible. But Ramondre might not even play.
I don't think he's going to play.
Aaron Jones questionable. I haven't looked into him at all. Even if he's fine, that's not a bad matchup, the Rams. But they do have solid run D because of Bobby Wagner. But Lockett and Metcalf against the Niners, I don't think they're both going to do well. Tyreek Hill, snow game. Buffalo.
Yeah.
Not a good matchup for him. He's not going to get a fluky like fumble for 60 yards again.
No, and I mean, Tyreek can do it any play, any time. But if you were going to think Tyreek might have a small game, it would be at a snow game versus Buffalo.
Yeah.
So, you know, not his best matchup. I will say, going for Annie, massive advantage. Mahomes versus Houston, versus Deshaun versus Baltimore.
Yeah,
That's
about it.
Massive advantage. And so I think what Annie's going to need to win is like a maverick 47-point Mahomes performance. And
Yeah,
even
but that's
then,
only going to happen if Houston stays in the
the
game.
other thing too is like Zeke is playing Jacksonville. And like, normally you think, Zeke kind of touchdown dependent. Well, I kind of see him getting like 2 touchdowns versus Jacksonville.
Here's the scary thing about Mahomes with such a juicy matchup is that if they crush Houston, he's not going to need to throw the ball.
And that's where, like, when I'm saying like I might have a chance versus Tate, like this could be a pretty big Pacheco game, like where they literally just ground and pound. Houston sucks at run defense. Why would the Chiefs do anything other than just pound it, pound it, pound it? I don't know.
I'm going to say Travis pulls it out.
I also think Travis pulls it out. Kind of annoyingly, I was hoping he missed the playoffs. I can see him beating you or Kayla next week as well. And I could see his team like beating
Whoever
Sam,
makes it into the
Tate,
finals.
or me in the finals. Like Travis' road to the finals,
Isn't that tough?
it's not that unseeable.
He's avoiding the 2 toughest teams, which is Tate and Sam.
And I think this is going to be this is a harder matchup than you or Kayla, but this is a bad week for Annie.
Yeah.
Like I would rather play Annie than Tate this week. Honestly, I'd rather play a lot of teams than Annie this week. I think she might have the worst outlook.
I wanted to get the 7 seed to play Annie, but Joe just didn't pull it out.
Yeah. Not in a mean way, like Annie's team has crushed all year.
But the matchups.
Matchups and Ramondre, she doesn't have a replacement for Ramondre. She's been really dependent on him. She'll have to play Amir Abdullah or Raheem Blackshear. And that's too big of a hole.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Trav pulls it out.
I agree.
Running low on time. Let's do a quick toilet bowl review.
Yeah, I can just pick. I don't need to look at the teams.
No.
We know them by heart.
But real quick, let's call the playoffs real quick for what we think happens.
Okay. Start with the top. Sam's going to be in the semis, obviously.
Sam's in the semis.
Tate's going to make it. You're not.
Regardless of who makes it, I think Sam progresses through.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to say I upset Tate
Okay.
to keep it interesting, although Tate's team is better on paper and should win this week. And then I lose to Sam. Annoyingly. It's going to drive me crazy.
I think Tate wins against you, and I think Sam beats Tate. So Sam's in the final. That's that side of the bracket for me.
I think Sam makes the final.
Here.
I think you win.
I agree.
I think Trav wins.
I agree.
Then I think Trav wins again.
I agree.
And then I think Trav beats Sam in the final.
Really? I think Sam's got it in the final against Trav.
Honestly, at this point, what I want out of this playoffs, more than I want to win, is I want Sam to lose. So part of what I'm hoping for is that Tate beats me so he can beat Sam.
What I want is if it's not going to be me, because obviously that's what I want, number one, I want a fresh winner. So
I want a fresh winner as well.
Annie, Kayla, Tate. If it's not myself, I want one of those.
I don't want to share my 2-time title with anyone else but Gramps.
Or Travis.
I don't want Sam or Travis to join.
You don't want me to join the crew?
Not really. Because I want to be the first 3-time titleist and have that distance be 2. I'd be totally happy if Annie, Kayla, or Tate won. And I think it would be best for the league if Sam, me, Travis, and you were all to get knocked out. It would be much more interesting if it was a Tate, Annie, or Kayla final.
That would be my ideal final if I'm not in it.
Much more interesting, and honestly, like, Tate drafted really well based on how players came through. So did Annie. Neither of them have really traded their way or wavered their way in.
Kayla's made 0 trades and very few waivers as well.
Yeah.
Those 3 are all pure draft, along with Sam
and like,
besides us, everyone's pretty much pure
for
draft.
me, like, see, if I make it through, I'm going to look back and think, like, my Travis Kelce trade and my Dak Prescott trade were the reasons I made it in. Not because I drafted, or, like, my waiver pickups. And that's cool. Team management is cool, but I'd rather see, like, a pure drafted team. Sam's trading for Diggs. It's just so easy to look back and be like, oh, that Diggs trade sold it for him. Versus if you look at Tate's team, it's like, oh, Tate from day one drafted and was destined to win the playoffs. That's kind of cool.
He did make a nice trade for Devonta Smith, but it's less like big balls than other trades.
Well, looking back, if he would have kept Cooper, it would have been better for his team. So, yeah, I'm kind of rooting for Tate, and I'm kind of rooting.
So to recap, you think Travis is going to win in a Trav-Sam final, and I think Sam is going to win in a Trav-Sam final. And our semifinals are slightly different.
It would be so awesome if it was a you and me final, though.
No.
Likely what happens is, let's say this happens, it's Sam and me and you and Trav. We'll both be the underdogs, and it would be awesome if you and me boot out Sam and Trav, and then we do a kicker battle in the finals.
I've beaten Trav in the semis before as the underdog. I can do it again.
It would be so sweet to kick Sam out when he clearly has a better team than mine.
You would love that so much.
I would love that so much. I would literally, like, I don't know what I'd do.
Just gloat. It'll be
I'd probably have to take
gloating.
ownership of one of the twins or something. There'd have to be something there. Anyways, let's do a quick
toilet bowl. So yeah,
beefed.
I don't know how the bracket is gonna look. It might be...
No, this is set up properly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's already set up.
Okay. So Pops, I think you got the edge on AJ round 1. Do you agree?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pops is moving on.
Kyler Hurt sucks for AJ.
Yeah. Jason, as we've said all year, team's terrible. You've lost 5 in a row, if not more than that. I can't remember, but at least 5.
Yep. Yeah, you lose to Aiden. Aiden's team isn't that bad.
It's not.
And Gramps wins. Gramps' team is kind of strong at this point.
I disagree. Luke put up 117 last week. He's gonna do fine again.
Okay, Luke goes through.
So we got Pops, we got Aiden, and we got
Yeah, the reason this looks confusing is people fall from here.
And ESPN's toilet bowl bracket is not how we do it, so it just looks different. But Sam will fix that for us. So semifinals, Pops, Aiden, who you got?
Pops.
I would agree. You have Gramps, I have Luke versus Joe.
Yeah. I will take Gramps.
I will take Luke.
Okay.
And then Pops, Luke, Pops, Gramps. Who do you have?
Gramps.
Really? Gramps is gonna win it?
I think Gramps wins the toilet bowl.
I think Pops wins it.
Yeah, I'm calling it a Trav finals and a Gramps toilet bowl.
All right.
Cool. Well, that'll about do us. That Yeah.
That'll about news.
Goodbye.